Shout out to all of the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters and I'm troubled. Now, I sat right in this seat yesterday and gave my live reaction to the news that Charlie Kirk had been shot and killed. And my reaction came from a number of different places, beginning with somebody who sits and talks about politics day by day. Somebody that is a front-facing member of the independent media, whatever you want to call it. And in that vein, somebody who has been shown to be extremely vulnerable in ways that we hadn't seen previously. And that was of note. I also sat here as somebody that had been targeted by Charlie Kirk, not directly, but as a black man, somebody that had been targeted by Charlie Kirk as recently as yesterday. I actually was in the process of making a video in response to the wall-to-wall coverage that we had seen to the incident in Charlotte and how that was used and weaponized to smear black people at large. And Charlie Kirk was a very active participant in all of that. So to turn 24 hours later and be talking about his passing was a number of different hats and a lot of different emotions that had to coexist at one time. And one of the things that I said yesterday was that we will see what the reaction is on the right.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. All the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
Then by that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the two Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota? Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm asking
We
a
don't
serious
know what
question.
condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck, and you want to talk about Republicans right now? No.
No, I'm asking
not at all.
You said the Democrats have to own it too.
But Democrats own this.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%.
Trying to make sure that we are being resistant safely. It's something that is always at the forefront of my mind. I remember when we talked about what happened in Cincinnati, where the Yahtzees went down to Cincinnati and they were on the bridge and the people in Lincoln Heights wilded out, right? And I applauded them for doing so. And I even made a whole video about the community defense group that they had organized in the weeks after that incident happened. But it's not something that I ever would have called for because of the trick bag that we find ourselves in this country, where we are continually prodded, but then also set up should we respond. And we have seen them act on our response and using any level of provocation to devastate our community time and time and time again. Now, to quote something that I've also said before, they don't need a reason. In fact, the video that I posted yesterday talked about how they don't need a reason in order to do us dirty, but they certainly will use any potential reasoning that they have. So in thinking of how we want to respond in this moment with the knowledge that there are people that are in charge of our Justice Department that have made no efforts to hide their partisanship and their desire to push a very specific agenda, and it is an agenda that has been anti a whole lot of things, but black is chief among them. It's been anti-immigrant, it's been anti-woman, it's been anti-poor, it's been anti-elderly, it's been anti-sick, it's been anti a whole lot of things, and black is chief among them. And so if that's how they've been moving up to this point, and they have given very little, they're not giving you like a head fake or nothing. They just moving straight forward.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives.
Now, one of the things that was said, and in fact, this was said by the officials in Utah, they talked about with Charlie Kirk, somebody who was expressing his opinion and feeling like his opinion shouldn't rob him of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I would agree with that. That also would happen to describe a lot of the censorship that we have seen up to this point. There's no reason why we've been having whole debates about free speech in this country to land at a place where I guess we have found what the line is. But my question is, why does it have to get to that point? Why does it have to get to that point to confirm somebody's ability and reaffirm somebody's right in order to express their opinion? Because it seems like short of that, that is something that is kind of give or take, depending on what day it is, what the temperature is, and by all means, what direction you're hitting it from. That's exactly how free speech tends to be in 2025. Also worth noting is there was a whole school shooting yesterday. A whole school shooting yesterday. And from the time that I turned on the news, and I had all the channels on, from the time I turned on the news to the time I couldn't handle anymore, which was hours, I don't think I saw a scroll. I don't think I saw a cutaway. I don't think I saw a moment of coverage on our big cable news about a school shooting. So if there was a moment for us to proclaim the complete normalization of school shootings, yesterday should in fact be it. In fact, I was in the live and learned about it from people in the live. And when I was searching to try to find information about it, I was unable to pull it up immediately, at least enough that I could actually give information to people in the live about a school shooting that happened that day. Not breaking news, no news. No, that was no news. So the gun aspect of this leaves me extremely skeptical about what moves or steps might be taken about the gun aspect of this when the school shooting gets ignored. And as many people have said, after Sandy Hook, what really was ever going to be done? But, I also happen to be of the mind that when people are directly affected by these things, that tends to motivate folks. But the counterpoint to that would be there wasn't really any movement or any steps taken in that direction after Butler either. So who's the fool in that regard? I guess it was me. I guess it was me. Now, one thing I did say yesterday during the live, I talked about my reaction to JD Vance and the boats, the Coke boats that had been exploded off the coast of South America. And his response being eliminating folks that are poisoning America's citizens is the best use of our military. Because naturally, if the leader of another country decided that some folks here in America were poisoning their citizens, then eliminating them would be the best use of their military, right? Because they decide, because we just get to decide what they've done, somebody else's citizens and another, we just get to decide that. So naturally, they would get to decide that as well. The absurdity of that and the fact that they're actually floating that as an actual stance from a vice president. Again, this is what we're dealing with when we're looking and wondering exactly what the fallout might potentially be. This is the standard. So, in looking at the absurdity of that, I have to keep that in mind when it comes to somebody like Charlie Kirk, because as emotionally charged as so many people felt about him, positively and negatively, validating what happened because of for me, right, as somebody that has been targeted, member of a group that's been targeted, smeared by Charlie Kirk and his rhetoric, for me to validate what happened to him, to use that to validate what happened to him, would also then be to open up the ability for other folks to validate what happens to us because of whatever rhetoric and nonsense and mental gymnastics they've done in their own head. And we know they're really good at the mental gymnastics. We saw that in November. We've seen that in January. Hell, I just did a whole piece about the Arkansas farmers who overwhelmingly voted for Trump, asking for a bailout while affirming they think the tariffs will work for them. So these are the mental gymnastics. It's a really bad place to be to allow people that are capable of that level of mental gymnastics to just make the kinds of decisions that we saw JD Vance decide to make and validate whatever they do for that reason.
We're in a war. The left has been saying put a bullseye on Trump, a bullseye on his supporters.
Charlie Kirk's a casualty of war. We're in this country. We are.
They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it?
But the question that I didn't have an answer to yesterday was what the reaction was going to be on the right. Because I talk about if we want to get back to a place where people weren't so unhinged when it came to our political discourse, That's going to that takes two. That takes two. And I understand it's extremely difficult for me to ask that on the left when you feel personally persecuted and directly targeted every single day. But when these things did happen on the left, that was in fact what you heard. That's exactly what you heard after those folks lost their lives in Minnesota. But in looking to right-wing media for some level of reflection, some level of reflection and some level of acknowledgement of where we are and everybody's part in all of this, what I heard repeatedly was we're at war. That's what I heard was we're at war. But not what happened in Minnesota. Gabby Giffords wasn't there. Paul Pelosi wasn't there. They had to go back and stitch together a piece and actively omit all the folks that have been hurt, maimed, or killed from the left. They actually went and put that piece together. Now, I realize I'm probably preaching to the converted in this regard, but there is absolutely no justification for that in service of trying to make our country better. There is no justification for that in service of trying to make our country better. So what we have to contend with, I am forced to conclude, they have given me no choice. I am forced to conclude that we are contending with a media arm that actively has no interest in making our country better. And that's a fact that should be highlighted time and time and time again as we process all of this information in and out. Now, as we move forward, the same caution that I had going into this, because of what I thought they were capable of, has grown into an active concern because of what I see their intentions are. Now, the last thing I wanted to say, and I almost recorded this for my other channel, Way of Waters, has to do with, because of all of the video that I saw circulating of Charlie Kirk. I saw him talking about gun violence quite a bit. I saw that clip. And then there was the clip about him talking about empathy, right? And the fruitlessness of empathy. And that's something that was posted a number of times while I was in the live yesterday. And I didn't really have a response to it live, but I have a response to it now, because it really hit a nerve with me that that was something that was said, but also something that's being repeated. Because the thing is, I don't think very many people that were reposting Charlie Kirk's words about guns or empathy would have taken or trusted Charlie Kirk to dictate how they lived their lives before he passed. I don't think very many of us were taking his lead on how we should feel about things. That struck me in the aftermath of throwing out that whole word, that whole word empathy, because when I look at some of the darkness that we are being confronted with, would you wish that on yourself? Or would you wish that on any of your loved ones? Don't get me wrong. We gonna have our FAFO moments, okay? We gonna have our FAFO moments. We gonna laugh. Don't get me wrong about that. But what I'm saying is, would you wish that darkness on you and those that you love? So there is no reason to take their lead, certainly not when it comes to the value that you place in your fellow man. That can't be it. Huh? That's not what I said. I ain't say they go low, we go high. No, that's not it. That's not it. What I am saying is, we're gonna need each other. We're gonna need each other. Not to get distracted by all these culture wars that keep so many people fractured who have common interests, while we ignore massive wealth transfers going on across strata in this country. We're going to need each other. And that is going to require empathy. And if you are going to drain yourself of empathy, I can't think of a worse catalyst than this. So as somebody that feels a level of empathy for you and for the people of this country in general, I do want to thank you for presenting this platform where we can connect and have these conversations as we did yesterday. And I believe we should probably do a whole lot more of that. But it's been far too long since we've done it in celebration. And that is why I'm troubled. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Now, there's not a lot that we can count on these days. There's death, taxes, and the Cowboys being trash.
Y'all are trash. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Y'all are trash.
And I mean trash. But one of the other things you can count on is my Tuesday lives. They started on Tuesday nights, and then we went to the afternoon, and then they went back to nights, and wow, I've been out here tacoing like Trump. I have all the commitment of a new ICE recruit. Well, here's the thing. Huh? There's so much that's happening in the afternoons. I find that's probably a good time for me to do my lives, and I can give some more immediate reactions. There'll be some polls that'll go up on the community tab, so be on the lookout for that. Also be on the lookout, especially while you're in the comments, for imposters. I mean, really, these imposters and these scam artists love my content more than I do. Honestly, they be there more than Miss Ray.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
Scammers love my content like X loves racism.
Finger licking good special. That's what I'm talking about.
But I want you to know, because I get emails from folks all the time thinking that we had a whole text conversation. And man, I wish I had that deniability back in the day. That wasn't me. That was scammers. I never invited you over and left my actual address. That wasn't me.
Stop the cap.
I would never ask you for your phone number via a comment, and I certainly wouldn't list mine.
You have to trust your gut.
If you see these kinds of comments, please report them immediately and send them to my attention at admin@reesewaters.com. You know what you can also send there? any of these merch picks? Well, you know what? We got a whole merch unboxing from Paulette. You go, girl.
They have it very well packed in this customized box that holds it perfectly in place. Aha! The new Reese Waters merch. Reese, what's up? Way of Waters.
Thank you so much for that, Paulette. There's a lot more where that came from at reesewaters.com. And be on the lookout because there's a lot more drops coming just in time for the holiday season.